Hey everyone, Dave here, December 1773. With me is Ryan. This is episode 118 of the weekly show. Eve is in the studio because she's buying lottery tickets up here for some reason. I'm not a fan of the lottery. I don't believe in the lottery.
It's $1 billion.
It doesn't matter how much it is if you don't win it.
We're not gonna win, but we're never gonna win if we don't.
Still can't buy Twitter with it. So what's the fucking matter?
Twitter has officially been purchased by Elon Musk. We're going to talk about that. Paul Pelosi has been attacked, and I'm sure he would prefer he was just killed so he wouldn't have to deal with Nancy for the rest of his life. And, you know, as we stated, we have the elections. They're getting closer and closer. We're going to probably do our prediction.
What do you mean? What do you mean elections, David? People already voted.
Well, some people already voted, but I'm going to vote on election day. But with all this news going on, I was curious, and I don't even know if I can do this, honestly. Let's see if I can even make this happen. Will it allow me to pull this up? I don't know if this will let me do it. I'm curious. Can you see this, Ryan?
Yes.
Okay.
Can't hear.
Let's see what CNN's talking about.
Election day, just how nasty is this going to get once election day is over and
they're
the
talking
presidential
about
primary
2024 elections,
Yeah.
Trump and DeSantis rivalry.
Wow, you're right. Like, what
They
is
don't
this?
even know
What
if
does
that's
this
true yet,
say
though.
about what's to come? All right, thanks so much, Gabby Orr. Appreciate it.
I love that that's
With
the
violent political rhetoric and election
that's the
misinformation
almost
on the rise,
guaranteed
the
matchup
Justice
that everyone's
Department is
expecting.
vowing to fight voter intimidation ahead of the midterms.
Voter
Attorney General Merrick
intimidation.
Garland
Okay.
says the DOJ will
Interesting.
guarantee, quote, free and fair elections.
How?
And
I already
tonight, a
voted.
new CNN special report explores
more.
the impact false election fraud claims
election
are
fraud
having on
claims.
local
Okay,
leaders
interesting.
and election workers. CNN's Ken Law is the journalist behind tonight's report.
Asian,
Ken, tell us
can't
what you
trust
found.
her.
Well, Pam, what we
Ryan, you
have
have
been
to be
hearing
diverse if
and
you're
covering
on
for
cable
some
TV
time
news.
is
No,
all that anger
China has
that
infiltrated.
Except for-
really saw spill
except for
over
the
in January
very
6th.
white
It was
woman
driven
hosting the
by
show.
misinformation. But increasingly what we're seeing,
How do you know what
especially
it
in
was
the
driven by? They
post-COVID
haven't
era,
found-
is that anger, that same level of anger being directed to local officials. We're talking about school boards, county
wonder why.
commissioners, city councils, election workers. And these are the
Election
small
workers.
spokes of democracy that are cracking under those threats, under that fear. So we went from the Midwest to the West to the East to
No,
the
you didn't.
state of Virginia.
Wow, she
This is Loudoun
listed
County
all the points
School Board.
of the country.
What about the South?
Well, they didn't do the South.
You didn't get through the night.
We did not get through the night. No.
Who is that? Oh,
You're
God.
teaching children to hate others because of their skin color. And you're forcing them to lie about other kids' gender. I am disgusted by your
I don't understand what's
bigotry
happening on this
and
channel
your
right now.
depravity.
I wish I had context.
Yeah, no, if only they had explained what is happening.
Madam Chair, I move to end public comment.
Yeah, that guy looks like he
All
really
in favor,
cares
please
about
raise
what
your
he's
hand and say
talking
aye.
Aye.
I think
The motion carries 9-0. Public
America's
comment is now
dangerous
ended. We will move
divide.
to our next agenda item.
all right, that's enough of that. I don't know how people watch that. I think the point is they're talking about shit nobody cares about. They really want to keep this narrative going about how our elections are only in jeopardy from dangerous voters like us.
David, am I wrong to say that Nancy Pelosi and perilous attacks? What was the CNN there? Perilous threat.
Yeah, something
Perilous
like
and
that. Perilous-
Pelosi. They're awfully close and rhyming, David. You know, I know how they master language and like to redefine things with the help of Webster's dictionary on a moment's notice in the middle of a legal battle so that they could reference it legally. Yeah.
I think the Pelosi thing is worth talking about. I wanted to jump into that before we get into Elon buying Twitter and all the things that you scrounged up as you had stated.
Hold on a second. You know, that's fine. Actually, what I got to say is more piggybacked on the Pelosi thing because, you know, I've come on here and I told you that, you know, people aren't going to keep going to work. And then we hear this very CNN clip that is going to council members and Senate members. And we've seen right-leaning judges in the Supreme Court's house targeted. We've seen local electorates, Mark Poloncarz here in Erie County. Yeah, I wonder why. And then we have the media having their hashtag headlines that say threat to democracy and divide in America. I don't think there's a divide, David. It's manufactured.
By design. By design, I would say. In speaking of manufacturing by design, I'm not going to say it's fake because I don't want to be sued for $2.75 trillion or whatever it is.
But I will.
But I'm slightly skeptical about this Paul Pelosi story.
Why?
And, well, there's a couple of reasons. Let's just pull this up here. You can see this? All right, this is a New York Post article. I know it's the New York Post. We should be using the New York Times, a trusted news source.
The one that wasn't censored on Twitter, David?
Yeah, we shouldn't be using these people. But just starting at the beginning here. The man who allegedly attacked Paul Pelosi, I love how we have to legally state these articles, with a hammer has been named as David DePape by San Francisco Police Department. The 42-year-old is believed to have entered Pelosi's home through its rear and shouted, "Where's Nancy?" All right.
Through the rear.
It said he was attempting to tie Paul up. Paul Pelosi, of course. Quote, until Nancy got home. But somehow, as he was being tied up, he was able to call the police and stay on the police line. The lady who heard the police call stayed on the police line with him, even though there was no person on the phone. And then, as he was being tied up, he had a hammer that he pulled away. And so, for the record, DePape, I think is his name.
Hold on. Nancy Pelosi's husband subdued the guy and tied him up?
No. So the guy broke in. Okay, where's Nancy? Because he's coming for her. He's gonna steal her dentures or whatever he's doing.
Sniff around her.
He then tries to tie Paul Pelosi up. While Paul Pelosi is being tied up, he calls the police and grabs a hammer. Okay? This is my understanding so far.
Okay.
So we're on the same page.
I know nothing of this.
So we're on the same page. He's being tied up and simultaneously grabbing a hammer and calling the police. This guy's shouting, "Where's Nancy?" Okay?
Seems logical.
The suspect pulled the hammer from Paul and violently attacked him with it. Our officers tackled the suspect. Okay? I don't know what... I'm confused about the timeline here. Because the officers tackled the suspect as he took the hammer? So did he tie him up? And it's a very confusing story, Ryan. It says our officers tackled the suspect, disarmed him, and took him into custody.
I love how nobody's questioning his ability to use rope to tie people up. Like Nancy Pelosi doesn't like to get dominated in the bedroom.
So DePape... So what is this?
Guy is an expert BDSM fucking sexual predator.
So
and has hammers and shit on the ready in his bedroom. I'm sure they don't live in a single-story flat, and I'm sure he doesn't have a garage. Where the fuck did he get a hammer so readily?
Well, yeah. Well, if only he had a gun, right?
That guy is not. Yeah,
solve the whole issue.
But that's not.
So
that guy's not doing housework. Look at that guy. He's worth like $50 million. He hasn't probably ever used a hammer in his life. Why am I? Go ahead.
I'm just really confused. DePape is then said to have attempted to tie Paul up. I don't understand. Like, the timeline doesn't make sense, Ryan. Do you see what I'm getting at? Like, he breaks in, he says, "Where's Nancy?"
He breaks in, he ties him up, he calls the police. Yo, there's somebody's here, and he stayed on the phone. And the guy.
Okay, but DePape is the one tying up Paul Pelosi.
Okay. But
so
Paul Pelosi was able to call the police
while tied up, or did he call before?
How did he get tied up if he had a fucking hammer?
Well, when did he get the hammer? Did he get the hammer? He would have had to gotten it before he was tied up, right?
Or did he get it after?
So he got tied up and then he jumped away and got a hammer as he was tied up?
What if he got tied up and the guy didn't know how to make a slip knot? So he broke free and then he ran down the hall, grabbed a hammer, and then was like, "Hey, bitch," grab his phone.
So it was an unsuccessful tying.
I can't believe Apple hasn't made a commercial about this yet. You know, consider they do it for a car crash. Nancy Pelosi's husband used the iWatch to call when his attacker broke into the house.
Okay, so I guess your theory, and I guess it could be true. He tried to tie him up and he failed at it, I guess. It gets a little more interesting though. There's the broken window. Two of DePape's relatives who spoke to CNN said he was originally from British Columbia, which I don't give a shit. Moved to California about 20 years ago, and he was estranged from his family.
Yeah, normally people that do weird shit are estranged from the family.
Well, here's
I'm just
where
going on a limb psychologically here. I'm just channeling Jordan Peterson.
Here's where they start to tie him, of course, to a party. He had strong opinions. They didn't know him to be a violent person, but he was an aggressive speaker, Ryan.
Maybe
he was
passionate, not heard, misunderstood, misrepresented.
Aggressive. He was an aggressive speaker.
I'm sure his girlfriend is gone on record, right?
As all good Republicans, he was into hard drugs and lived in a storage unit in the Berkeley area.
Sounds dateable material.
Everybody knows Republicans come from Canada, move to California, are into drugs, and live in Berkeley. Also, he was one of the, quote, ringleaders of a nudity protest. Yes, also a thing Republicans are known for. And he was a hemp jewelry maker.
Honestly, that sounds the most logical thing this guy's got going for him.
So this guy, born in Canada, grew up in California, was part of nudity protests, was into drugs, lived in Berkeley, and he was a hemp worker. This guy is supposed to be a Republican.
That guy lived in a storage locker?
Yeah.
Is that a legal voting address?
I'm sure it is in California.
No wonder Crowder couldn't find him in Detroit or wherever he went.
But here's where they really start to hammer it home. An online blog named Friendly Friends, which is apparently a source that we use now, started with the screen name David DePape, so we don't know if it says, but we're assuming it is. And it featured a number of disturbing conspiracy-led posts, like climate hysteria, COVID, immigrants, pedogate, and communism? Communism's a conspiracy?
It only killed 100 million people at least, David. Don't worry about it.
Various news sites published by DePape had posted conspiracy theories on Facebook and YouTube, falsely claiming COVID vaccines were deadly and the 2020 election was stolen. Could you even imagine such a thing, Ryan?
Do you remember when Bernie
there we go.
tripled down it? Yeah, get the conspiracy filter on. Do you remember when Bernie got robbed in 2016 and everybody knew it in 2016 after the election? Like, yeah, it came out that Bernie got robbed. And like, yeah, we all knew it.
Yeah, but that was a fact, Ryan. That was a conspiracy like the 2020 election.
But it doesn't matter, Dave. Like,
no, I understand that it was, fraudulent elections and things like that, but that was in 16. In 20, when Trump lost, of course, we all know that it was a very safe and secure, in fact, the most safe and secure election of all time.
I won $40.
I swear to God, you win the lottery. Wasn't your goal $1 billion?
Yeah, but I put $25 in, and now I'm up to $55, and I already bought my $1 billion tickets. I bought 3 of them, so I haven't spent any money.
Interesting. I kind of want to do this, but I kind of don't. Should I? Without any context, should I or should I not?
full send on everything, David.
Full send on everything. Eve, do you know who Andrew Tate is?
Am I supposed to?
You should. He was the most Googled man on Earth.
Yeah, he was the most Googled person on all of Earth. Most Googled of all time, maybe? Or just of the last year?
It was at that time. He was Googled more than presidents and other things.
You've never heard of him?
No.
No. Interesting.
Bald misogynist.
I guess there's no way to go forward with this. I was curious how many people know Andrew Tate. I thought it was weird. I'd never heard of him until what happened. And now I think him getting canceled made him more famous.
Yeah, I told people about this dude a while ago.
Yeah. Yeah, but I never
Yeah, I know.
watched a lot of his stuff.
I know. That's what makes it so great. That's what I really with the Kanye thing, it's only getting more intense every time, right? So it's like when I see this content, I consume it and we have to talk about it almost instantaneously because it can just be zapped away. People already forget what happened yesterday, let alone last week.
Ryan, do you think this is? I have an interesting. We all agree Elon Musk, of course, he owns Twitter now officially, and we all agree he's pretty innovative, right? Like when SpaceX went to NASA, right? NASA would have been perfectly happy blowing shit into the sky and never seeing it again, right? They'd blow millions of dollars into the air and never see it again and be fine.
Yeah,
Elon
if they're
said,
so government subsidized, right?
Right. I don't know what this says.
I won $50.
I swear to God. So
We literally shit talked the lottery before this.
So
family.
is Elon coming in from the private sector versus the public sector, right? When they merged with NASA, or partnered with NASA, I should say. Elon looked at it from a private sector point of view. Like, you can't just blast millions of dollars of stuff into space and then blow it up and never see it again. That doesn't make any sense. What you need to do is get these rockets back down to Earth and land again so you can reuse them.
It sounds super environment friendly considering there's no space debris.
Well, that's a good point, Ryan. That is more environmentally friendly. You're also using less materials. People at NASA said, no chance, can't be done, right? These are the smartest people on Earth. These are literal rocket scientists.
The smartest government people on Earth, David.
Right. Can't be done. Well, it just took strong leadership from Elon to say it can be done, figure it out, right? Elon Musk, the thing about Elon Musk, and it's not that he's not smart, but he's really not, he doesn't know as much as the rocket scientists at NASA, right?
He
But
said
he
he
knows-
read 3 books on rockets, or 10 books, or 50 books. I know that's a large span, but he just read like books. There was one book in particular, and it just taught you the basics on how to propel things through space.
Right.
Forget who wrote it. It's what every fucking fundamental of these exact scientists you're talking about base everything off of. And he said that's what he's like, I can do this because he just read a couple books. Patrick Bet-David said, if you want to succeed in life, just pick a topic: finances, health, wealth, health, whatever, and read 10 books on the topic, and just keep doing that. Pick a topic, read 10 books. Pick a topic, read 10 books, and he guarantees that you'll be better in life, far better off. So it works.
It could be, but the point is, it took his leadership, not necessarily his knowledge, to go in and say, like, listen, you're going to make this happen, or I will find people who makes this happen. And that's the kind of thing that doesn't happen at a public sector. That only happens at a private sector from exceptional people like Elon Musk. So I bring that up because I want to know, if you think Twitter, do you think he's going to take over Twitter and just leave it alone and make it free speech Twitter? Or do you think he's going to turn Twitter into more than Twitter? Is Twitter eventually going to have the ability to be like YouTube, like Facebook, not just Twitter? Could be like Instagram, like TikTok. It could just be the free speech ultimate social media. I don't think Elon Musk is going in with the intention of buying I wouldn't say a failing social media platform, but one that is certainly, I don't know, it's not as capable as certainly many of the other platforms. Do you think a social, private sector guy with that kind of imagery in his mind, do you think he's going to go in there and just leave Twitter alone?
No, I believe. It's kind of funny to me is Elon's going to go in there and out Zuckerberg, because I can totally believe that he can do that. It's great that he didn't build social media, but he's going to be able to revolutionize it, because he's not going to stop. It's going to be dating. Like, the thing, Twitter is the most capable because they put porn on Twitter. You can't have porn on Instagram, for example. So I know that's like the most extreme example, but in terms of what you can post, Twitter allows actually the most diverse type of content, which would make it the most reach. So why isn't there Twitter dating? Why isn't there Twitter Eats? Why isn't there a Twitter Maps? Why isn't there a Twitter this? Like, Elon he wants it to be the apparatus of everything that, like, why wouldn't he merge Twitter's technology with Tesla's technology? Like, why couldn't you speak to your car through Twitter or something? Mm-hmm. This guy, and this is the guy, mind you, that tweeted a pregnant man emoji and said it was Bill Gates, and also put a astronaut in his own American-made electric vehicle and blasted it into fucking outer space just because, well, he can. You know, and this is the guy that also sold all of his possessions apparently and supposed to live in a small little apartment and like a 1-bedroom house or whatever, and raise a family, has all these kids because he thinks a population collapse. Like, Elon does practice what he preaches, I guess, if you want to look at it from the outer side, at least from us armchair politicians here. But yeah, I wouldn't doubt, David. You're absolutely right that he's going to go in there, rejuvenate like what Twitter was supposed to be and not what it devolved into, which is this. I mean, let's be honest. That's what all the journalists use. That's why Twitter is backpacked into all social medias. Not all other social medias are hyper linked to each other like Twitter is. Twitter is like the unanimous that can be shared between them, because it's more like an information share than just photographs and everything, obviously, like Instagram is. Yeah, it's interesting. Twitter, Elon wants to be the best at everything. I don't think it's a coincidence. And I just, look, if we're going to do the fact check thing, we better see. I just don't know how we're gonna do this.
Did you see the thing John posted in our group about Biden getting fact checked on Twitter?
Yeah, that it was something with like there's only so many billionaires made above this amount of money or something. Yeah, I seen that. Company, I didn't know if that was correct. I didn't know if that was. I didn't independently fact check that.
I got to tell you, I don't like the idea of. I don't hate the idea of fact checking as much as I hate flat out censorship, but I still hate the idea of fact checking because
it's ludicrous.
It's opinion checking. We've already been over that.
Yeah, but, I actually had that.
It is funny to see. It is really funny to see the shoe on the other foot. I'm going to enjoy that for just a minute.
We had that clip actually come up in the channel, and I shared it to you, David. It was Political Pumpkins. It was like one of our first Halloween special podcasts, and I said I was going to destroy fact-checking. This was before Mark Zuckerberg admitted that it's just bullshit. This was before he came out and admitted that the New York Times called them and told them to censor this. And it's FBI. I'm sorry. There's so many alphabets. But it was before all these things were even like admitted publicly, Yeah.
That's because, Ryan, you have intuition.
I guess, David.
What the?
I've watched Known Liars long enough to know that they're known liars.
You're a fucking bull in a china shop over there. You're moving the studio curtain around.
Yeah, I guess go Elon, but we have to, I'm not going to get on here and fanboy.
I will. You don't have to. I will.
Yeah, it's good. Sorry that the guy that wants to implant me with cyborgnetic technology wants to make me a billionaire. I heard it again this week from Mr. Beast on some spot. He was on Schultz's program, Mr. Beast.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, if it's $20,000 to get the implant, everybody's going to do it because you'll be able to make millions in the stock market and blah, blah, blah. But it's just like, do you fucking hear yourself? Thanos just came out. Thanos just came out a few years ago, people, and said we got to kill half of everything.
See, I'm not getting into this. I'm not saying I'm going to get it right away, but I would certainly consider it. I really would.
Whatever, Dave.
I'll get chipped. You don't get chipped. It's fine. I'm turning myself into a cyborg. That's the goal.
Can you imagine this program when it's human versus, and you're just going to be like, Ryan, you are a fool. I am much superior.
You're going to ask me a question, I'm going to know it like that because I got the latest Neuralink.
Yeah, and then you'll be able to fucking go figure. Oh, see, here we go. Full conspiracy. The guy that's taking over the information share to fact check it also wants to give me hyperlink. So what? He can control my fucking thoughts? Is that his fun? Here it is. He's going to use Twitter's ability to speak. That's what he's going to plug hyperlink into. We're going to hashtag tweets to each other. Whatever. I don't give a fuck.
It'll go off of Starlink. Neuralink will get Wi-Fi from Starlink, which is also, and then you can use your Neuralink to drive your Tesla, which is Elon, and you can use Neuralink to get in your SpaceX rocket and go to your home on Mars.
Why can't I fucking fly yet?
The future is incredible, Ryan. I don't know why you want to stay on the ground when you could be at Mars with your Neuralink and Starlink.
I'm a person, David, not a
Imagine
cyborg.
The view on Mars.
Yeah, with no oxygen.
There's oxygen. I don't know if there's enough, but there's some.
There's no trees on Mars, right?
Yeah, but you don't necessarily need trees. You can plant trees.
Nobody's ever looked at trees and be like, man, I'm depressed. I bet you go there, it looks like clay.
You can't tell me you can't build a dome like Sandy from SpongeBob. Build a dome, pump it full of oxygen, and be fine.
Dave, they can't even drill holes on Mars right now.
We're a couple years away, but we'll get there. It's just
that because Elon didn't get there with his fucking Google assistant in his head yet with Cortana from fucking Halo?
Neuralink's not ready to get us there.
Cortana's not ready.
It's getting close. It's not going to be our lifetime, but I don't know. 100
Alexa's
100 to 150 years from now, people living on Mars, it's not insane.
it's dumb.
Uh
Did we talk
kinda-
about the asteroid thing yet or no?
I don't know. I kind of want to get Mindy Robinson on here. Did you commented on one of the things I tagged you in it? She wanted
Oh.
conspiracy theories. She's like, I'm running out. She's a libertarian running in Las Vegas or Nevada or something for some seat. I probably should have more information than that, but I don't. You can look her up if you want.
Well, luckily I can just do this and we'll
Not yet, you
download the
can't.
answer.
Not yet, you can't. People will be able to tune in on their brains, Ryan. Live, Mondays at 7.
I have hard enough time handling my own tuning into my brain, let alone being in somebody else's, David.
Who was talking about, was it Joe Rogan? Was talking about people reading people's thoughts.
Yeah, that's like the thing. There's going to be open and honest dialogue because no one will be able to potentially lie to each other. And
Right. It's an interesting concept.
yeah, it's interesting because humans have the capacity to lie for some reason. And then you're going to try to override that with technology.
No, they're not overriding it. They're not. They're changing. It's just the fact that you would be able to know if they're lying, that it would totally change like the outlook of things. Because people wouldn't try if they knew, right? Like you wouldn't try to lie to somebody if you knew they knew you were lying. That wouldn't make any sense.
If nobody could lie, the truth would mean nothing because it wouldn't be valued because there'd be nothing to compose it opposite of.
Interesting. That's a Tate approach, Ryan.
It's a
Scarcity is what makes things valuable. So you're saying since truth is scarce, it's more valuable. Truth is more valuable because people lie. Is that what you're saying? Interesting.
Well, Carl Jung said Carl Jung. Carl Jung, he's a psychologist. He's pretty interesting. Peterson talks about him all the time. But he says I know he's been one of it, but it's like the tree that reaches up into heaven must reach down into hell because there's got to be an opposite. This is like yin and yang and Taoism or Maoism, whatever it is. But
nope, I don't think it's Maoism.
It's one of the Chinese things. It's one of those communist religions.
I think it's Wu-Tangism.
Wu-Tangism. Wu-Tang. But the point, that's I mean, that is what it is, isn't it? Like, the truth sets you free because most of the world is a lie. You know, and I also heard this week that your brain is actually not an information gatherer like the way that we think, and then it gives you information, right? Like you're like, oh, you soak shit in, and then you like figure it out, right? It's actually it's actually like a filter. Like it only lets you see what you want to see. You see everything, right?
Yeah, of course.
You literally see everything. But the world is too big and complicated for you to be able to pay attention to everything the same way. So you can only pay attention to so much stuff. So your brain limits that, and that's what you focus the world around. Like if you're just looking at money or a certain car, or that's where like you could say the law of attraction is real, right? That you want to be drawn to these certain things. I don't know how I got it here, but it's an interesting thing to think about.
You need Neuralink more than anybody, just to sort your thoughts out. You'd be a dangerous man if you could organize your thoughts.
I might be the first quadrillionaire. Not that money will be worth anything. The point of it is, though, yeah, David, I don't know. I don't believe it. I think, yeah, Rogan could say whatever the fuck he wants, but
I don't know where it's. Where does that premise come from? The idea that people can read each other's thoughts. Is it from like Neuralink and technology like Neuralink, or does he just think for some reason people are going to learn to be telepathic? Like I don't understand where that thought even comes from.
I mean, isn't the idea of Neuralink like a Wi-Fi signal?
Well, the initial idea of Neuralink, and Elon, of course, being Elon, is going to take it as far as he can. The initial idea is the original premise was to help people who have like paralysis or disabilities. People who can't see, people who can't hear, people who can't feel, like people who are paralyzed, can't use their legs, things like that. What it does is it's supposed to send voltages, right? I'm not an electrician, Ryan. You can try and correct me on this, but it's a computer chip that goes in your brain and it sends like electrons down to the certain places. Because the idea of people who are paralyzed or have disabilities, it's all in your brain.
Yeah, if you put a person who can't walk on a treadmill, their legs will start walking naturally.
Is that real?
Jordan Peterson said it.
Interesting. It's kind of like a dog when you hold a dog
It's-
over like a thing, they start swimming before they're in the water.
That's how you know humans are good at fucking with shit. My dog pre-swims.
But that's the point. The point is your brain isn't sending the electrons, I think I'm saying this right, to the areas where it needs to go. So what this does is overrides your brain, which is a scary scary phrase, and it sends the electrons for your brain since your brain won't do it. It's honestly like a scientific like masterpiece. I know why people think it's scary and whatever, and I get it, but it really is, like, at its core, it might be like the greatest scientific achievement for the past ever. I mean, imagine curing paralysis. It's almost as impressive as Joe Biden curing cancer if he gets reelected. Ryan, you can move on. You can move on.
I just don't. I don't believe. I can't. I'm trying to pull up the.
It's
trying to bring up the number of the beast from the Bible right now, David, just so that
666. Everybody who listened to Iron Maiden knows that.
If you're 555, then I'm 666. All right, here it is. This is from. And that no man might buy or sell, save he has that of the mark, that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. Here is wisdom. Let him that hath understand count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666.
I'm curious where this is going, Ryan.
Well, if Neuralink, there may be a very, very few time here. You know, cash is being abolished and smashed before us. You want conspiracy theories, David. Why would they want to get rid of cash other than to be able to track?
Oh, it's very simple, because if there's not a tangible asset for currency, for example, gold.
Dave, you're the
or cash.
asset. David, you're the asset when population decline is inevitable. They need people that are.
Yeah, but hear me out.
They need people. Okay,
Hear me out where I'm going with this. So if you can't physically hold cash, right, which most people don't now, they're doing this socially without you even knowing it. If you can't hold cash, like, for example, how often do you have cash on you? Do you have a lot of cash on you frequently? Or do you just swipe a card? You just swipe a card, right?
I am not going to self-incriminate and say that I carry cash on me all the time, David, because that would sound suspicious.
Most people don't carry much cash, right? When you go to when you get your check from work, for example, you either have it direct deposited or you go and cash it at the bank.
Correct.
And then the bank has numbers in a bank account and you use your card and swipe.
Correct.
Well, if this cash goes away entirely and it's just all numbers, right? And people have access to your numbers, for example, the bank, when we're talking about social credit scores, people like Kanye West, whatever, JP Morgan Chase or whatever says, hey, guess what? You don't have a bank account here anymore. Now they can control you. And now you have to do what they say, because there's you can't do anything anymore. You can't go to the store and buy anything, because guess what? Your Discover's off. And we see this with PayPal. PayPal had that $2,500 fine thing, and then they said, oops, that was in there by accident, and then they brought it back anyway. Where does PayPal get where does PayPal get their money from? When you go to use PayPal, where does that money come from? It comes from your bank account.
Or the government gives it back because they help fight against election disinformation.
Maybe.
No,
maybe.
That's what it is.
Or maybe they're giving you their, you get your stimulus, right? You get your stimulus every month. And you're using that money, of course. But, maybe you don't get your stimulus because, I don't know, I don't really like what you had to say about the 2020 election. These things aren't that far off. Some of it's happening now. When we talk about some of these people who get canceled in the social credit score and one world currency and all these things, these are all real ideas and things that are already happening to some extent. Maybe not to the average person, but when you see people like Kanye West and Andrew Tate get canceled on the internet, it's bad enough their speech is silenced, but now I can't use my Uber anymore. The Uber app is canceled. I don't have a bank account anymore. These are
Kanye
real
West
things
said
that
he
happen.
lost $2 billion in
It's
net
an
worth.
absurd amount of money.
$2 billion. Because
So,
of all of the anti-Semite and then the George Floyd thing
and I don't know where you were going, but that was my opinion about why they want a cashless society. I think everything boils down to control at the end of the day.
Yeah, I said on that Facebook, this is how I actually got to the conspiracy time. That girl, I commented on there that our food and water has chemicals in there that are frequency activated with light waves or sound waves or certain different decibel waves of screens and sounds, and it's able to mind control you. And the vaccines
Is this a real thing, or did you just come up with this out of nowhere, or is this the thing you've seen?
No, I'm not making. I mean, I might be putting a couple of things I've heard together all the way, but no, it's all The thing I might be making it with the food and water, but I heard it with the vaccines, right? That there's heavy mercury in there, and then it's activated by sound waves or Bluetooth waves or Wi-Fi waves. Liver King talks about unplugging your router every night and turning off your phone in airplane mode so that you're not getting
that's the big hairy guy you talked about.
Yeah.
What does he unplug every night? His router?
Well, he doesn't even have that stuff. But he said put your phone in airplane mode and keep it away from your dick so that you're not getting zapped with a fucking signal from space on your balls and lowering your testosterone. And yeah, it's not like, I mean, I was just telling my uncle this week, literally, it's always amazing to me that when I see a plane flying, it always heads towards the sun. And every time it heads towards the sun, it has this big long tail behind it. And I used to call them chemtrails. And then I was labeled crazy. And then I seen the articles that talked about geoengineering. So I just mislabeled them. But it's geoengineering.
Yeah, you should have just said those are geoengineering trails.
Yeah. So.
One of the things that was considered a conspiracy theory, and is Eve still in here?
Yeah.
One of the things that she knows a lot about, but the bee population and the chemicals getting sprayed on the crops, killing the bees.
Monsanto.
That was Monsanto. Yeah, that was a conspiracy for many years.
Yeah, I've seen very little mosquitoes this year and or wasps and bees in the grand scheme of things. Now maybe I'm just secluded to it.
Eve, what'd you say about the amount of honey you guys got this year?
It's a lot less than before.
Because of droughts? Or they don't actually know. It just is less.
How the fuck do you know they're bees? How do we know?
Yeah, how do you know why bees made less honey?
Bees know what time it is. Do you know that? Do you know that?
Well,
They've
I'm sure.
No.
Relatively, you mean?
No. They've put bees in the dark and then put them on an airplane in the dark, flew them to a different time zone, like across the globe, and they got out at sunrise and did the same thing they did here at sunrise.
Did they have jet lag?
No. I don't know, actually. I don't think they get you. I mean, they fly. They don't even fly, right? How long have you heard that they're mathematically impossible to fucking fly? They run on static electricity of the Earth, probably how a Tesla coil works. So, whatever. We're deep down the balls of conspiracy right now.
I guess the point is we should have her on to have Conspiracy Cast 3.
Let's do it.
If she doesn't win, because if she wins something, I'm sure she'll be way too busy.
Not for me.
Luckily, she's running as libertarian, so she'll have time.
Yeah, she'll get a big old 0.5% of the vote.
She'll have plenty of time. Ryan, what do you have for us? I literally didn't have that much, and we somehow went 40 minutes.
Elon on Twitter takeover.
Yeah.
Great. Kanye West says that he lost $2 billion in wealth over the latest controversies. New York State Supreme Court is reinstating all employees that refuse to get vaccinated.
I think you may have mentioned that last week. Is it official?
Yeah, with back pay. I'm just making sure we're covering
Good.
topics here.
Good that
I'm
back
seeing things that record amount of people have already voted.
Well, that's not promising.
What if somebody dies tomorrow and you can't vote for him anymore? How am I supposed to
What
believe?
if one of the people who voted dies tomorrow?
That's what I'm saying.
That's interesting. That's an interesting point. I mean, their vote still counts because it was cast, right?
Yeah,
They don't take them out and say, "Oh, you were dead," because I mean, dead people vote all the time.
It happens more than you think. Like, I actually heard a thing. These older politicians, after they win, especially, it's like such a they have a heart attack. This is like happened before. Yeah, it happened. I think I covered it here on the show. It's within
Is it a
the time.
lot though, or is it like once?
Well, it's happened. This is like the point.
I'm saying the actual people voting, like doing the voting, they cast their vote early and then they die like 2 days before election day.
Oh, I like that, Dave.
That's interesting.
Dave actually spoke about this. He sent me a few things that said register by like the 11th and mail it in for the 18th. So I have to get a piece of paper, mail it, send it back to the post office. They have to give me a pamphlet with a mail-in ballot and then give it back to me. I have to fill that out, and then you have to give it to the post office to give it back into the post office to stamp it by a certain date so that when they mail it to the voting place, it's counted on that time.
Which, by the way, and obviously my opinion is you vote in person on the day of elections, and that's it. That's the end of the discussion. But if you're going to do mail-in ballots, that's the only way. I should have to request the mail-in ballot. If you're just sending these things out left and right, how is there any integrity to the votes?
Yeah, and I almost thought like it was within like a 7-day time span, which I thought was arbitrary, but it would obviously make sense that all of the systems that we have in that chain of government socialism that I don't necessarily always believe, but I do believe in the post office to some degree, like the idea of parcel service, right?
Yeah, and the thing is, that's a constitutional duty of the government. That's an actual legitimate constitutional thing the government is supposed to do, is provide a post office, a postal service.
And you know why I think they put that in there, honestly? Because it gives us, we the people, the ability to use our government for free and honest, open interpretation of whatever we want services. And that would cover the freedom of speech, being able to write mails and your effects. And they couldn't, there's a lot of civil liberties built into, that's why nobody can go through your mail, right? Because it's a violation of your rights.
But they didn't plan on people using it to vote.
Yeah.
That was not an intention of the postal service.
Yeah, but all the same, I thought 7 days was a little arbitrary until I really kind of thought about it, that I even have said that voting, there should be, I don't think it should just be an open field. You might have to, I want you to run through some mud a little bit. I want you to have some skin in the game. I don't want you to just, granted, I voted every year that I've been able to. And as I get older, I voted more elections like school board and everything else.
But you do it in person.
But I do it in person on voting day without a fucking mask and without getting asked if I have a vaccine, government. But I still think there should be resistance. I didn't have skin in the game at 18. I didn't know anything. I could have just voted in utopianism. I had thoughts of certain things. And do I think I should have been able to vote? Now looking back at it, considering what I believe, probably not. But who am I, right? And this is maybe this is the beauty in our system, that we're allowed to be so young and dumb. And at least for me, I was vocal enough that, I've had my ideas tested and etc. But I don't know. It's interesting. I want some resistance to voting. I think everybody should vote in voting day. I think mail-in ballots should only be for elderly, sickly, disabled,
veterans.
Like the 1 to 10%,
not veterans, but active duty military, people who are overseas right now.
Politicians or people that are going to be on vacation. But you got to prove you're going to be on fucking vacation. Not maybe proof, but you know what I mean? The things that are the 10% at the most.
I don't honestly, even a vacation. If you're choosing to take a vacation and it happens to be during election time, then I'm sorry, you need to either change your vacation or. You know what I mean? Even a vacation, nobody's forcing you to go on vacation if you're missing.
No, but honestly, why, if we're going to have this mail-in ballot system, I'm just saying, because the thing I've heard is active duty military ain't there, obviously, right? And senators don't get the vote because they're not always in their districts all the time. So I just transfer, I still have a voice. My life shouldn't stop because of the voting. I agree that there should be resistance too, but maybe if I go in person to the fucking voting election board and say I'm going to be out of town this day, I would like to cast a ballot. Maybe I don't know. I don't fucking know. I think people should do it in person. It's not that I don't trust the mail system, but
That's part of it for me.
well, I'm glad they just scan all my packages after the war on terror, David. People are already voting, and apparently it's the most they've ever voted by mail-in ballots, which is kind of funny considering we got our little last election. So, right? Is that how it went, or was it like this? Whatever.
It was kind of like Trump, right? And then like Biden was kind of like here, and then it was like 4 a.m. It went something like that. It's not that it's a conspiracy, of course. We were just that's finally when the mail-in ballots arrived, right? Because everybody knows that's when the mail delivers the mail is at 4 in the fucking morning, right? So obviously that was just the mail-in ballots coming in.
Of course, David. The people at the post office will be willing to work for 5 times overtime pay.
What a ridiculous thing we're supposed to believe that at 4 a.m. that's when the mail arrived.
Well, everybody's up at 4 a.m., David. Just like everybody has time to read 10,000-page bills about your health care
Anyone
costs.
ever gotten mail at 4 a.m. at their house? I'm not saying the election was stolen. I'm just saying it's a little weird.
I'm going on record here.
Came in.
I'm going on record here, David. Nancy Pelosi's husband's story is bullshit, and it's a distraction from the media.
Ryan, how dare you? When he was tied up, scared for his life, calling the police and going to get a hammer, and you're going to question him?
Yeah, I'm going to question that millionaires living in a fucking gated community had some guy just walk down the street, climb up the side of his house, and break a window, and then start asking for Nancy.
More than that, millionaire husband of Nancy Pelosi, a politician. I am sure that their house is not just not watched at all. I doubt it's security free.
I mean,
you're telling me nobody is there watching Nancy Pelosi's house?
For the record, did the guy have his own hammer?
No. He took the hammer from Paul Pelosi. Paul Pelosi, who was tied up after he called the police, went to get a hammer. Then the guy took the hammer from Paul Pelosi. Then he smashed him in the head. While he was doing that, the police arrived just on time to tackle him and take him in. Of course, this was the Republican who was born in Canada, moved to California, was hard into drugs, lived in a storage unit, was a hemp maker or some shit with hemp, was a nudist, all the classic Republican things.
Yeah, there's a lot of baby Jesus love in there. Yeah, and in the very state that they make all their movies and know exactly how to tell epic stories.
Yeah.
I don't believe it. I'm not saying thoughts and prayers. I don't believe it.
I'm extremely skeptical of it.
No, fuck that. We're not skeptical. December 1773 does not believe that Nancy Pelosi's husband attack is 100% accurate and or verifiable. I think they're full of shit. It might be true. And we'll never.
For the record,
A bunch of known criminal liars.
For the record, just in case, I'm gonna just.
Oh, look
in
at
case.
that! My stream's having fucking issues. My stream is having issues. Fuck you. Fuck you, stream. Whatever we fucking use, you know it. This just makes me think I'm fucking right even more.
Just in case. I'm sure is having issues. Just in case, if he was legitimately smashed in the hammer, I hope he has a good recovery. Because I think he's a victim twice.
Yeah, thoughts and prayers.
Because he gets hit in the head with a hammer and he has to deal with Nancy Pelosi. So, no wonder he drinks and drives all over the time.
Yeah, and he has the greatest healthcare in the history of forever. That's why they didn't vote to get rid of it during fucking Obamacare. Oh, we got Cadillac health insurance. Well, why can't you guys get it? Well, ours is better. Then why do I gotta have it? Well, Constitution and all, pen and a phone. Do you remember that? Non-authoritarian cocksucker. Glad he's black. Nothing worse than a black tyrant instead of a white one. Or an Asian one.
Ryan, do you have anything else before we... I do want to make some predictions before the game tonight. Of course, it will air after everybody knows the answers.
Nancy Pelosi's husband was not attacked with a fucking hammer, truthfully. It's all bullshit. I don't care what they tell me. I am not going to sit by and watch these people fucking lie to me and distract me during a fucking election cycle and act like I'm a fucking infant to the mainstream media outlets. I'm not going to tolerate it.
I don't understand what's so hard to believe. The man broke in through the back window. There was no security at the politician's husband's house.
How did he pick that window? It's just none of it.
He was carrying rope. He broke the window with his rope. He was carrying rope. He broke the back glass. There was no security.
Cuts on his hands?
Well, no. Nancy Pelosi was out of town in D.C., so of course the security followed her, and nobody was at the house. That's the story they want us to believe. He tied him up. Then, while he was tied up, he called. Right? He made a phone call. He didn't speak words because, of course, you don't want the guy to know that you're calling 911. The operator stayed on the line because, of course, you would stay on the line when you get called and there's nobody there. You don't have anything else better to do. She sends dispatch out. As dispatch is being sent out, Paul Pelosi jumps away while being tied up to get a hammer, tries to attack the man with a hammer. The man easily takes the hammer from him because he was tied up, goes to bash him in the head, and then the police arrive just in time to save the day, Ryan. But it's a good thing we didn't defund the police, and it's a good thing Paul Pelosi didn't have a gun to defend himself.
Yeah, and the very politician said,
that's the official narrative.
Police. They don't trust police, but I'm supposed to trust these police that answer your household phone call that you weren't able to just, hey, say this, and we'll make sure that your kids never are hungry ever again and get to go to any college that they fucking choose, and we'll call it charity.
I don't understand why you don't believe that story, Ryan.
The United States has 25 days left of diesel, David. That's why I don't believe these stories, okay?
That's fine. You can use electric cars. They have electric semi-trucks now.
And airplanes.
Yeah.
We're about to see the most plane crashes in the history of humanity.
You can charge them.
While you're flying?
No, just before you take off.
Okay.
You can go 400 miles on a charge on a car. I don't see why you can't fly a plane across the country.
Speaking of flying a train across the country, there was a trans at the White House. I have not seen it. I've seen.
Excuse me?
Yeah, there was some super highly feminine transgender man. Woman.
Yeah, it's like the health and human whatever, like assistant health secretary or something. She's always.
If your fucking skin crawls when you watch people speak, they should probably not be in fucking public office. Okay. I've been around people like this before. I've made friends with people like this before. I'm not a fucking bigot. YouTube, you're the bigot because you don't respect my opinions. But like, enough. Like, look, just like the hammer. I'm done sitting by, David, and acting I'm acting like things are okay for far too long. And now we're in the realm of fucking fairy tales, mythological beasts, and Harry Potter fantasies. I'm not going to fucking tolerate. I'm done with it. Nancy Pelosi's, they're all liars. And this trans person that is super creepy and cringy, you go get some help.
Ryan, this type of bigoted speech is, of course, why a Canadian hemp maker Republican attacked Paul Pelosi with a rope.
Allegedly. That makes great media stories, David. I can't wait until they have the fucking reprint of that one in like 6 years that we read about. It's like, really, what really happened? He slipped and fell and hit his head, and we had to make it look like he wasn't drunk, hiding 3 mistresses in that very bitch.
The real story is this drunk ass just fell and hit his head.
Oh, fuck. Yo, Phil. Called this right up, dude. Punched the back window. Forget about the $50 million you owe me, dude. Just fucking forget about it. Nancy won't know. I had like a cute Dominican chick over, dude. It's midterm season. We can't find this out. You know, my buddy's in the AG. I don't know the AG. I just know like his assistant. So I only have so much sway down in DC about this one to blow the. I swear to God, it'd be the greatest prediction I've ever come true on this program. Still more believable than the official story.
That while tied up, he grabbed a hammer and got beat with it.
Alexa, call the police. Record layoffs are coming in the real estate market. I don't
No,
know
that's-
anything about anything, but I'm pretty sure growth recession is the opposite of people buying houses.
Oh, I had to think about the recession. Have you noticed they have really, really been pushing the recession off? Like, you still see articles like, even though we're not in a recession yet, one is coming in 2023.
How
Right?
to
In
prepare.
2023, if there's a red wave, do you suspect we'll all of a sudden have a recession?
No.
You don't think so?
No, we'll definitely have one, Dave. What are you talking about? To be able to blame the Republicans for it.
I think that has to be where they're going with this, right? Right? Because for the first time,
Because then you got ammo for 2024 that, look it! We gave them, they had a supermajority. They had all the elected officials but the president. Oh, that's weird. A lame duck presidency, huh?
I think
Again.
that has to absolutely be where they're going, right? Because for the first time, we had 2 negative quarters of GDP. They say negative growth, which doesn't make sense. That's called loss. But we had 2 consecutive quarters, and for the first time, they said, "Oh, yeah, but it's not a recession." It's like, wait, but it's been a recession every other time it's ever happened. But they're still saying, "Well, it could be in 2023. We'll see how it plays out."
Well, they don't want to get people upset before Christmas either, David, and all the corporate interests that have contracts already drawn up to be like, look, we already made all the fucking toys at Santa's Workshop, and we're going to sell them, take everybody's money, and then we'll crush them recessionally.
Did you notice Walmart, the CEO came out and said they're not doing Black Friday this year?
Oh, I wonder why.
Yeah, that's weird.
It's just the greedy capitalists.
Maybe it's just not profitable for them anymore, right?
I thought they're greedy, David.
Yeah. Well, maybe they
Are we
are,
saying-
and that's why I don't believe that they're just giving people off because they feel like it. It's the right thing. It's the right thing to do. No, if it makes money, they're going to make people do it.
Oh, you don't want to come in because you feel sick? Stay home. It's fine.
It's fine.
Yeah, you're the first one fired, bitch.
Yeah, sorry. This is Walmart. I can find 75 more people by tonight.
Every day of my life, I go to the. I thank God that I learned skills that, like, literally create the world. Like, I'm more important than a lawyer. I am more important than a lawyer.
Yeah, you can do one of two things with your life. You can work at Walmart or you can build Walmarts. Right? Like, those are your choices.
And then hopefully you can own the company that builds the Walmart.
That's the real goal.
That's
the real goal is to be, of course, the CEO of a place like Walmart.
Tate, really, but
well, yeah.
Yeah.
But he's top G, Ryan. That's tough to.
Everybody's top J. Yeah, so David, I like that little election breakdown. I know we're only a few weeks out from the election here, but we should have been more predominant on our election breakdown.
We'll be plenty predominant after, depending on which way it goes.
Wall Street Journal. Ukraine's asking for money to rebuild.
Oh, well, you have to give it to them, Ryan. It's too important not to.
Didn't we give them like $1 trillion?
No, not even close. Only like 60 or 70 billion. It's nothing. It's chump change.
Today.
Yeah.
Right. But the dollar's worth less. Well, this was already.
That's why they need
the dollar's
more.
worth less.
Yeah, that's why they need more, Ryan. They have to rebuild. You're just gonna leave a whole country that you have nothing to do with in
Speaking
ruins?
of this, I don't want to get into a rabbit hole, but we might as well have longer episodes nowadays. I text David a photograph of where Israel is comparison to Ukraine, and Ukraine's like here, and Israel is like here. Now it's not quite up the scale.
Do you want me to bring this up, Ryan? I can bring up a picture of Israel. Yeah.
Israel is considered to be in Western Asia. Okay. So Ukraine to me looked like it was along the same kind of degree of longitude. Okay. And then I typed in, with my infinite wisdom that I have in 2023 nearly, in Google, why is Ukraine considered Eastern Europe? And it led me down a rabbit hole in a Wikipedia article that discussed the very natures of it. And there's many contributing factors, David, which I find very ironic. And most of it deals with its socioeconomic, its Cold War, its Christianity. There's like 7 or 8 different references on why. There's no real reason why. It's just been called like that since the post-World War II era. But everything that they deal with calling it Eastern Europe and not part of Russia, because Russia is 2/3 of Eastern Europe or something. So it's just very interesting. It put me down a little rabbit hole. But yeah, it just kind of ties around into this Ukraine thing that
This is relatively. Oh no, here we go.
I think it was three.
This kind of shows it. This sort of shows it. So like over here is Ukraine, right? And where's Israel? Like way down here somewhere.
Yeah, it's right. Like if you go to the
It's
tip
really
of
small.
Africa, yeah, it's right there on the. I think it's the Baltic Sea, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, right there.
It's in this range. I don't think people understand how small Israel is, though.
No,
it's
it's
surrounded by enemies, and it's very small. So when we hear and we're supposed to just act like Israel's out attacking everybody, they're just defending themselves. They're surrounded by people who want to literally exterminate them.
Yeah, and it's also crazy because we talked about this, that those people are, Jesus was white. Like they're Middle Eastern people are Caucasian.
Correct.
They're not Asian, they're not black. Right. They're Caucasian.
Now, would he have been pasty white? Probably not.
I mean, he could have been.
He could have been. People in Ukraine are pasty white.
I mean, he could. I mean,
but
realistically,
he's a little more south.
But probably not, right?
He would have definitely been a tan, dark complexion, but he still would have been a white person, very likely.
Yeah, and probably with like hazel eyes. I mean, he could have very light eyes. They describe Christ to have light eyes, but people have interpreted that like he's been. I looked into it actually; it's kind of interesting. But it's just kind of that whole thing, right? Like we have these terms, we say them, we don't really know, and then when you go down this long rabbit road, it's like the amount of millions of peoples that have had to live and die and live and die and live and die for us to just have a simple border is pretty crazy. It makes me very fortunate to live today because I am Ukrainian in America. And I always think about how if my family would have stayed, they left right before World War I or right when it was starting, my family, me, myself, may not even be here with the amount of atrocities that happened in the 20th century over there in particular.
No, there's a good chance that's true. Which is why you Cheval people, Ryan, should just want to start tossing money. $1 trillion. What do they need? Like $1 trillion, you said? Chump change.
Speaking of junk change, Russ Limbaugh was officially buried, and he has some. I don't know what quite was written, if it's a will
was he
or something.
Just buried now?
I don't know, but I heard this. This is from Glenn Bick's Twitter. I think you shared it even. That he had it cemented that he was radio's greatest of all time.
Just to piss people off.
Yeah, so he's self-solidified himself the GOAT in death. That's hilarious. That's what Republicans do, Nancy Pelosi. We don't break in the middle of the house with a hammer and steal from your husband.
I got to tell you, though, even though he was very much disliked by people on the left, obviously, he was extremely respected by them. He was extremely respected by them, which I think is a really impressive feat. It's another reason why he was the greatest of all time at what he did.
Yeah, I don't think you build an independent audience with a high school education out of just chance.
No.
And if you don't respect people like that, it shows how ignorant you are, because success leaves clues, right? And I wouldn't be surprised if Rush Limbaugh's presence in media made the other medias have to change some things, just like he changes things based on them. And, the audience is going this direction. Right now on YouTube is thumbnails, right? Like it's all these things. We all have to kind of sway with what the audience enjoys. Mm-hmm. But to always see that duplicity, David, that's a good point. I didn't necessarily know that. But speaking of necessarily not knowing, something that was well known in the media for a while, I got on here and told you guys that you can be the greatest of all time at football and still get a divorce.
Yeah.
Tom Brady and Giselle are officially announcing their divorce. No wonder he's been shitty in football. And,
well, Ryan, that means for you that Giselle is on the market.
Antonio Brown's got.
What? No. What? What?
We're hooking up Kaya and Ryan, and you say no, but we are.
Ryan is going after Giselle. Let's be clear.
Kaya.
Ryan's a top G. He goes after Giselle.
I've seen who Ryan goes after.
She might have a point, Ryan.
You forget that I have seen.
We've seen you at weddings with your half sleeves.
Eve hasn't seen all the women I go after.
He said you haven't seen all the women he goes after.
Okay, well, he's going after Kaya.
Why? Is she a whore?
I would say very much no.
What?
He asked if she was a whore.
Oh,
I said she's. I don't think we should talk about Kaya on here.
all the same. All the same. Tom Brady's getting divorced. No wonder he's been sucking. And everybody counting him out. I just want to let you guys remember
What is the
there was an
quote? What does
there was
Regina George say? I was half a virgin when you met me, or something.
Ain't no such thing. You're all or none.
You guys hear about soaking? You know what soaking is?
Excuse me?
Soaking. It's big in the Mormon community because they don't have sex. They save themselves. So what they do is they just stick it in and just let it get wet.
That's not. How was that? You might as well just go at that point.
No, they don't. There's no movement.
Once there's penetration, it's game over.
It's soaking, David.
From the Lord's perspective.
David, it's like if you put a hot dog. It's like if you put a hot dog in a wet hot dog bun.
Yeah, it's ruined. Which is 100% correct for this analogy.
Let's get back to ruined. Tom Brady's ex-wife. Just think that dude did Olympic backflip through that woman and produced children with her, and she thinks she's just going to go out there and get some fresh freaking men that's going to settle down with her, and some dumbass is going to marry her up just like Russell Wilson did to
Pete Davidson, for sure.
Do you know that Future said he still sleeps with Russell Wilson's wife? Do you guys know this? Do you know this?
Is Russell Wilson seriously okay with this? He can't be.
I wonder why he's got to do high knees.
The next conspiracy theory here. Why did they replace The Witcher?
Nice.
It's funny she brings that up.
Oh, Ryan might have an answer for this.
I do.
If it's because of the new Superman movie, I'm going to lose my shit, Ryan.
Ryan, we all know DC movies aren't
We don't need another Superman
worth
movie. We need The Witcher season 4.
I'll get there, goddammit. Tom Brady's getting divorced. This whole thing, people are counting him out and saying he won't play anymore and all this stuff. I've been listening to a lot of sports commentation the last few years. We've talked about it on this program. Appreciate you guys if you're still here. But it reminded me of an athlete not too long ago, a few years, probably 10 years ago, a guy named Tiger Woods. Remember when he went through all of his divorce scandals and the way the media responded and he's washed up and all this other crazy shit, and then he came back and won?
Yeah, he came back and he was strong.
So we'll see how big of a competitor he is. But honestly, man, like say whatever you want to say about it. We should never cherish and idolize. These people are the greatest people ever. They live incredible lives that will be told for millennia, possibly. And there's nothing to be celebrated about broken homes. So it just sucks that like people's childhood idols, and it reminds us that they're human and all that, and that he can be the greatest at football, and people are saying he's bad at marriage, and there's so many nuances to life. It's so I just hate seeing it, because you got to think about it. That shit's affecting him, man. When he's like, I'll
say this:
he's probably thinking, "What the fuck is football right now? I'd rather hold my kid."
From a football standpoint, though, the Buccaneers are far from out of it. That division is awful.
Most of the NFL is awful.
If they rattle a couple wins off, they're right back at the top of the division, no problem. I mean, it's not. There's no reason they can't just run through their division. I don't see the Buccaneers. The Buccaneers are making the playoffs still. They're still making the playoffs, and they might beat a team in the playoffs. Tom Brady is long from over.
Yeah, and I think him just announcing it will get some of that. So because everybody's been talking about it, you damn well know he hears that shit. All of his teammates hear it. Everybody's got a fucking cell phone. So I don't want to dabble too long on that. I just wanted to bring it up. And moving on to Henry Cavill here. Henry Cavill announced this week. You guys know I'm a big DC guy, right? Especially with Batman. But
wait,
Superman
hold on. Let me see if I can.
Ryan, did you watch The Watcher?
No, I don't watch TV.
Can you hear him?
No.
No, it didn't work. Never mind. All right.
Yeah,
on to Henry Cavill. I was going to see if I could get it so Eve can hear, but apparently she can't.
So Henry Cavill has recently announced two things. One, that he is returning as Superman in the DC Extended Universe. And two is that he is leaving the Netflix series The Witcher. I have not listened to any of the actual media releases or anything. All I have is speculation. All I have is hope as well for the DC movies that David loves to trash talk. And it's because of this. If the Zack Snyder cut release of Justice League, which I came on this program and told you guys I was hoping would come out, and it did, and then I watched it, and then I December-tained it, and now here we are a year later. If DC didn't learn its lesson and release the Snyder cut and see how the fans reacted, I don't know what would, right? Like, people were wondering. People have been wanting Henry Cavill back for a long time as Superman because he was simply incredible. His contract was already drawn up for the movies he was in and no more. Well, with him signing, people know recently, earlier this month, the Rock movie Black Adam came out.
Yeah.
Something funny about that, had shitty reviews on Rotten Tomatoes by the critics, but it got great audience scores.
Yeah, usually that's how that goes.
So that tells me it's probably a pretty good movie.
What's the point of a critic if they're always opposed to what the audience thinks, right? Who cares what the critic thinks if the audience likes it?
Dave, I would assume this works a lot like Facebook and how they get a phone call about certain types of information. And
I would assume so also.
Black Adam, Rock's success, him being The Rock, Henry Cavill, him being Henry Cavill, the way they responded, there's been talks, and it's actually probably likely going to happen. From my understanding, I follow comic book artists on Instagram, and a lot of the times these guys will draw scenes of like Henry Cavill fighting The Rock as Black Adam. And that actually became a conversation. They may be fighting in a movie against each other, which is something that happens in DC Comics, which is super awesome. And then there's also Shazam. The point is, those guys are like the three same character, but they all live very different lives. Shazam is a kid, and he's immature with his powers. Black Adam is a tyrant with his powers because he doesn't love the earth because he was tortured or whatever, right? He's this evil guy. But Shazam and Black Adam have the same power. They actually, like, they both have the lightning bolts on their chest because they're all from the same.
Is Black Adam technically a villain?
Yeah, they consider him a DC villain. And then you have Superman, who is like the blend of the two in a way, right? Because the thing that, like, it's what pisses me off about people, that this, because you don't understand, because when you actually watch real movies and real art and real stuff, most people, it doesn't resonate with it because it might be too much in your face or you can't think that deep. But Zack Snyder's Superman movies are fucking incredible. Superman could destroy the entire Earth
Of course.
at any moment.
Yeah, and somehow still lose to Batman.
And never does. And he never, well, that just says how awesome Batman is.
Really? Superman could destroy the Earth at any moment, but he still loses to a man with a belt.
Yo, dude, it's the red. It's the red. It's the
I
red.
have so
sun.
many doubts about that. I know it happened. I know what happened in the thing, but it doesn't. It's so illogical. It pisses me off.
It's not illogical. If
It's
you
very
look over,
illogical.
if you look back at comic book stories, Superman almost always beats Batman. It's like 100 to 10. Superman always wins because he's Superman.
Right, that makes sense.
Right. The point is Batman relies on the other members of the Justice League to save. Like, he's not strong, but he's the tactical genius. Like, Wonder Woman
Right, he's
is
like the
stronger
greatest
than
detective or whatever.
Yeah, but Wonder Woman can defeat Superman.
Again, I'm just saying it doesn't make sense. We all know, Ryan, biologically that's not going to happen. Was she going to make him tell the truth? She can install Neuralink.
The only reason that Wonder Woman can beat Superman is she has no natural weakness except magic. Superman has kryptonite and red sun. This is what I'm saying, though. There's like a lot of layers to this dorky nerd stuff. The point is, listen, this is what's so sick about art and our culture now, and these social media sites and everything else, man. They're literally influencing multi-billion-dollar corporations like Warner Brothers to produce content because we enjoy it so much. It's powerful. This is like a highlight of how powerful we are when we vote with your dollars. And also how powerful these stories are, which is also incredible. But Superman can destroy everything, and he doesn't. And that's why he's the greatest superhero ever. Like, ever. He's the model citizen. He's like Jesus. He's literally Jesus Christ.
Well, for once, Ryan, on superheroes, we agree.
Yeah. Superman was written by Jews even. That's why he's an alien from a foreign planet during the time when they wrote him. And I'm serious. They were Jewish.
You're going to get us yayed.
DC had this
Morgan
in their
Chase
documents.
is going to send you a letter and then backdate it.
Yo, my fucking car is through them. Could you imagine? We're repoing your shit.
We have terminated your lease.
Fuck!
No! We heard what you said about Superman.
I send you a video. It's getting on a tow truck. So here's what I think. People absolutely flipped out about Henry Cavill being the Witcher. Because one, he was good at it. Two,
He was outstanding.
He liked the Witcher story. He was a fan, right? He embodied Geralt through he played the game, like all the stuff. So when he became it, dude, the fan response, and you damn well know Warner Brothers, which is a sinking company right now, they're fucking liquidating everything. They kind of went woke and went broke a little bit. They're trying to figure out what the fuck they're doing. They scrapped a bunch of projects. They're owned by HBO. Like, it's all these things. Like, they have these shitty business models that didn't work out. They got greedy with certain films and took people for granted. Like, all this shit, right? And then they see how the fan base. I got Netflix just to watch the Witcher series. It was incredible. I didn't see the second season, but it's incredible.
Yeah, we'll continue watching. It's great. And you're an actual fan of The Witcher in general.
Yeah, I love.
Whereas I've just literally watched the show and it's outstanding, but like that's where it ended for me.
Yeah. It was like a universe before the show came out that I was a fan of for a while, and then to watch it cultivate, and that's why I can speak on Henry Cavill in particular. Because you damn well know Warner Brothers seeing that audience go, oh my fucking God. And they're like, fuck.
We had him.
That was we could have signed him to 5 films. I mean, how long is this 2 series? 20 hours? 5 films at 2 hours apiece is 20 hours of Henry Cavill still.
Well, in DC, it would have been about 2 films.
Right. Well, Zack Snyder movies. But this is what I'm saying. Zack Snyder set this universe up. He set up Black Adam. He set up Wonder Woman, set up The Flash, set up fucking Cyborg, set up Aquaman, which is on its second movie. Like, this dude set it all up. You fucked him over. And then you let your best actor go. The guy leading the charge. Ben Affleck, the reason he loves Zack Snyder, the director of those movies, but he hated working for fucking Warner Brothers. And you ruined... Ben Affleck is literally... Bruce Wayne. He's the same height and weight as Bruce Wayne. What are you talking? He's literally Bruce Wayne. He looked just like Batman on the comic book. How do you fuck this up? You fucked up the greatest ability to tell these stories ever, and you let it go. And
yeah, I'll say I was wrong though. What's his face from Twilight? Not a bad Batman. I'll give him credit.
Robert Pattinson's pretty good.
Not
I
bad.
liked him.
He wasn't bad.
They're great. You can tell.
I'll give him credit. I thought it was going to
be
be ridiculous, but it worked.
Well, it doubled down on Batman. And that's why, they're learning, they're letting, and that was mostly driven by that director. That took it more of like a detective. Batman would be known as Detective Comics, not necessarily Batman Comics. They're 2 separate stories. Mm-hmm. And Detective Comics focuses on him being like a researcher and more police investigations and tracking loose ends down. It's not all he just jumps in and beats the fuck out of everybody. Mm-hmm. That's what made it so interesting. Superman, it's just, they seen Henry Cavill, they seen what they missed, and it's just going to be cool to see what they go forward. I hope the whole Snyderverse comes back. I hope Zack Snyder can direct the other Justice League.
I even though I do shit on DC a lot, there has been a couple, Joker movie with what was the name, Joaquin Phoenix or whatever. Pretty strong. Very fucked up, but strong.
Yeah,
the new Batman was not bad. Didn't hate it. I don't know about I don't know how much The Witcher is going to suffer either. I'm not saying it's such a huge drop off from Henry Cavill to what's his name, Liam.
It's going to not be okay.
I don't think it's going to be that big of a drop off.
It's not going to be okay.
It's not going to be that bad.
I don't want Liam Neeson.
Liam Neeson. I have a particular set of skills.
I have a particular silver sword.
Give me my daughter back.
Well, that is what the story's about, ain't it?
It would work. It could work. And then he just goes and chases you down in a fucking Audi.
Well, the source material for these stories is so good and rich. The Batman movie you're referencing is told by Year One, which is a Frank Miller, who also coincidentally worked with Zack Snyder to direct 300 and other films. Yeah, he wrote that story, and it's like the premier Batman story. You know, it's literally the first year of Batman's Detective Tales and him learning. And then that director went there and for that source material. So, and that's the problem like I have with these movies when they suck or when they're fucked with. Like, you have the Bible. So just tell the Bible. You don't got to make the guy black if he's white. It doesn't fucking matter. It doesn't matter if he is black or white, but just don't make a big deal about, you know, like.
Right. Like, there's no need to change it.
No, you have the Bible. Why change it? You have the formula. It works. I'm not saying, but that's the beauty with these characters. They do have a black Batman. Black Batman Beyond, who also the white Bruce Wayne is in. It was a TV show. It's a comic book series. Also very successful. Like, it's not hard. You know, like, just make the shit we want. You know, and I'm not saying they're noticing it because DC is actually going through their whole fucking comic book list and making a bunch of them gay and trans, and Marvel's going down the same route, and it's not good.
Of course.
But it's genuinely the same thing of like
Marvel's probably a bigger offender than DC.
They're owned by Disney now.
And they're going around talking about it wouldn't be a bad thing if Spider-Man was gay. I was like, it wouldn't matter, but like, does it? But why? But is that necessary? You know what I mean? It's it's very obvious what you're doing. You're just trying to speak to your other half of the audience.
We call this putting lipstick on a pig.
Lipstick on a pig.
Yeah, Henry Cavill coming to DCEU again. Bring the Batflick back, goddammit. Finish the Snyderverse. Tell the greatest stories of comic book history and show people that DC is the superior storytellers. Because they are. I know that. Yeah, that's the end of that. December 10th this week. And then Bill's breakdown. I went to a Halloween party. Fucking incredible. Place called Tappo. Tappo. It's right off. It's in Elmwood Village in Buffalo. I went with a date. It was incredible.
Did she have sleeves? Was she ever in a film, Ryan? And you know what kind of film I'm referring to. We should tell that story one day.
Yeah, when we get a fucking Patreon.
Ryan was so scared that I was gonna spill the beans.
For the record, I was a couple chicks were hitting on me. She got super jealous and cock blocked me. I told her I didn't appreciate it, and then I turned out to be the bad guy. Those are problems about being a handsome man. Anyways, Halloween party was great. DJ was awesome. She hooked us up with tickets, so it was like VIP open bar. But everybody fucking dressed up, man. There was like 500 people there. Simply incredible. Tappo, Elmwood Village people. I highly recommend you check it out. It was my second time there. The other time I just went there on like a Friday or Saturday and got food and dinner. Mm-hmm. So to be there for an event, it's that time of the year in Buffalo that everything's getting cold. So bars just host fucking parties like this all the time. So it's that time of the year. I'm sure like I'll have a couple more stories. Maybe some misogyny-tainment will tie into this.
That's the best kind.
Yeah, it was a good time. I enjoyed myself. And then other December-tainment this week. Who, me?
Eve. It's like making little guns or whatever she's doing.
Bang, 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 bang.
Shot on two ends here.
My other December-tainment this week, I watched a couple of football games before we started.
Sister, she'd come down once a month to cut your hair.
That's a weird thing to quote.
Is she mocking because you don't have a lot of hair?
No, I don't know what she's. I don't know what that. Why would you air quote that?
To cut his hair.
You make it sound worse when you put air quotes to it.
He needs his hair cut, and I'm sick of doing it. Look at it. I messed it up.
That's not too bad.
Fucking podcast is off the
I don't know what I'm doing, and he thinks that I can cut hair, and I can't. So we're just gonna pay your sister.
It's not bad.
You
really don't do that.
And I quote, "Cut."
Yeah, but why do you quote that part? You could just say, "I'm not cutting his hair anymore. Can she cut my hair?" If you put air quotes, it makes it seem like it's not cutting hair. That's what that would imply.
Oh, you're trying to get me down to Pennsylvania to hook me up with your friend.
No, I don't think that's what she's doing.
What?
I don't know why you're air quoting. He said you're trying to get him down to Pennsylvania so he can hook up with.
Ryan, if I pay you, will you come and cut his hair?
I watched some football today, David. I'm super excited to watch the Bills game.
And
I did-
also cuts Kaya's hair. Not at the same time.
Wait, why was there two dicks?
You like to get pegged, David?
She does not have a dick, for the record. So I don't know why you were dual jerking.
Who, me or Kaya?
Both. Neither of you have dicks. I'm guessing. I'm assuming.
Yeah, he's never seen. He wouldn't know if
I've
I
never
do or not.
Well, no, not you, Kaya. Never seen.
We only have a kid together. He wouldn't.
I've never seen Kaya naked, so obviously I don't know if she
I
has
have.
a dick.
I can assure you that she does not have one. But sometimes she does.
I had something to say, but we're on the internet. Dave Ryan, December 1773. Thanks, guys. I'm going to get off
Wait.
and watch the Bills game.
Yeah, we were going to predict it.
Oh,
You're
yeah,
just
that's right.
Jumping right in. Also, you're talking about watching football, and then Eve started talking about cutting hair. All right, Ryan's trying to finish the show. You hush.
The Bills
Goddamn.
are obviously going to win because they have Josh Allen and he's everybody's little homeboy.
Hold on, we're not there yet.
The goddamn, this podcast off.
And they're going to win by 17.
Fucking love it.
Who are they playing?
I watched some football.
We'll
today.
talk about it in a minute.
The Jets versus the Pats.
Yeah, the Pats aren't as bad as everyone wants them to be.
No, Bill Belichick's goddamn genius. Dude can win with
so much.
nobody.
Damn cut off fucking sweatshirt.
He can win with nobody.
Listen, you can hate his cutoff sweatshirt, but
Nobody
He
does
is-
that!
he is the greatest coach of all time.
Nobody cuts off a sweatshirt to wear. That's
Doesn't
the
matter.
dumbest.
I'm not saying he's a
freaking
fashion icon. I'm saying he's the best NFL coach of
No,
all
he's
time.
not, because nobody cuts off sweatshirts.
He probably cut the sleeves off because they got corroded from wearing the same one for so long.
They're corroded.
Fucking short sleeve. It was a short sleeve in the 80s. He's like, all right,
Yeah.
this ain't too bad.
Yeah, is it dumb? Yeah, it's dumb. Why would you have a sweatshirt and then cut the sleeves off? Are you cold or warm? What's the deal? I get it. That's dumb, but he's still the greatest coach of all
Belichick.
time.
Bill Belichick. And we get to watch him. We got to literally firsthand get
He
fucked
lost
by
that.
Brady forever. Like,
When he cut off his first fucking sweatshirt to wear.
Well, Andy Reid can't even fit in a sweatshirt. He would be one of the other greatest coaches of all time. So I don't know if Andy Reid's got to have some respect. He's got to be in a conversation of best coaches.
he's won Super Bowls, of course.
Yes. Yeah, of course. And he's the coach of the Chiefs.
Oh, I knew that.
He's the one who looks like he
He has a nice bristle tooth mustache or whatever. it's
Yeah, and he
called.
has great breasts. He looks like he eats at Waffle House breakfast, lunch, and dinner 7 days a week.
No, he doesn't.
Andy Reid,
He looks how vending machines feel.
he's an easy 350 pound. Like he's very heavy. He's extraordinarily out of shape.
Can't run at all, but tells other men how to
It's
run.
not because he's old. He's been out of shape his entire life.
Can't play football. Might as well learn how to call it.
He could play football as a tackle, defensive tackle.
Break
Yeah,
a hip.
Tackle cheat. All right. Yeah. So Pat's game was interesting. I seen a couple of the other highlights. I was really hoping. What was the game that we wanted with the AFC?
The Dolphins we wanted to lose.
That was it. They won
pulled
by a
off the
field
win over the
goal.
Lions.
Who are the Bills playing?
The Bills are going to play the Packers.
Are the Packers good?
Or they have played the Packers because you're watching this on Monday. The Packers have one of the best quarterbacks of all time, but them as a team is fucking atrocious right now. They have a bunch of rookie receivers who aren't very good. Their defense is supposed to be good, but it isn't. They're coached by a guy who wants to be a run team, but they have a great quarterback, so why would you be a run team? It's a mess. It's a mess. It's a whole mess.
No wonder Aaron Rodgers started doing ayahuasca.
It's the first time. What was it? The first time in Aaron Rodgers' life he's been a double-digit underdog.
Yeah,
it's a 10.5.
I'm noticing a trend here.
That the Bills
You know-
always do things that they shouldn't.
Well, yeah, I mean, we're just seeing a lot of first times maybe because the way sports betting and analytics have been, especially when Amazon started introducing all their Alexa data that I'm sure they weren't harvesting for free off many years, and now we're going to package
It's the sidewalk.
it's a fucking extra package on my NFL network. Haha. Oh my God, where'd you get all this data? We found it. How'd you guys... We look under the rock. Oh, look at all this billion metadata.
Yeah, I mean, to that point, it was the Bills went to Arrowhead and were 2.5 point favorites, which I thought was crazy, and then they covered it. And now the Packers are coming to town, and they're like 10 or 11 point favorites on the Packers, which just doesn't happen in Aaron Rodgers' career. The fact is, the Bills are just, people in the sports betting community know how good they are.
It's
Now this
almost like
could
you
this could
can't
go the
bet
wrong
against
way. I mean, I don't think it's impossible that the Packers come in. Aaron Rodgers has one of his signature
No.
games, and
Mm-mm.
it's very
Nope.
possible.
No.
But realistically, I don't see any way the Bills don't just absolutely smack the Packers. I mean, the Packers lost to the Jets, for fuck's sake.
Yeah, I think Allen sits the rest of the fourth
They
quarter.
did really bad.
The Jets? The Jets are bad. I mean,
They're
listen,
hungry.
they're
When I watched
rookie-
them play the Pats today, they're hungry. They're a hungry team.
I think they're well coached. I like.
I didn't know we played
Style
them
up.
next week though. Like
We should handle them quite easily.
Yeah, I think Allen, obviously they might sit some of our starters depending on how this game goes. I don't necessarily think that it could happen like that. I do think Allen is going to deliver and outperform Aaron Rodgers. But I'm seeing Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes, Aaron Rodgers, and who was the other MVP candidate that he played this year and beat?
Oh,
Justin Herbert, right?
no, I didn't play him.
Who's the guy in the Rams?
Matt Stafford. Was he
Yeah.
an MVP at any point in his
No,
career?
I thought he was a Super Bowl MVP though. Maybe.
No, Cooper Kupp was the Super Bowl MVP.
All right. It's three.
There was like multiple, and it was like the first time or something that's ever happened.
And it's just like also shout out to Lamar. I know I should talk Lamar a couple weeks ago, and then he went and put on and beat Tom Brady, and everybody was comparing him this past week. I didn't get a chance to watch that game, but maybe I undersold Lamar, maybe I didn't. I just don't. When I watch him, I am just not blown away like I am when I watch the others.
He doesn't have the arm talent. He's a fine player. He's dynamic, and he does certain things that other guys can't do. I mean, he'll do things Mahomes and Allen can't do too. But he just, I don't know, if your team's down 10 points, it's the fourth quarter. Are you taking Lamar Jackson over Patrick Mahomes? Like, there's no way.
Yeah, it's just interesting to see the way the NFL is shaping out, and I'm excited to watch the game. We're actually pretty much going to get off and watch it. So I hope everybody, when you and your family watch the game, have a good time, as well as a safe and happy Halloween, David. And as always, thank you for your time. Thank you, everybody, if you made it to the end. Dave Ryan, December 1773. Like, follow, comment, notification bell, Facebook, YouTube, Rumble. We drop Mondays at 7. And I appreciate your guys' support as always, and I'll talk to you guys soon.
Thanks, Ryan.
Peace, brother. Go Bills.